morning, good afternoon, good evening to everybody, each one of you who has joined in from different parts of the world. So we are on day 3 of the RISE PECOWorld Summit 2026, 13th edition. When I say day 3, of course, it's the day 2 of the programmatic content, but day 3 because we kicked off RISE PECOWorld Summit with an exhilarating opening plenary on Monday. And I think, Karon, welcome to this third day. I think we had a fantastic opening plenary, didn't we? I mean, we had some great speakers who spoke from the heart and who unveiled the RISE values.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that was
Naresh, I think we are super excited because every day is a thematic, and today being entrepreneurship, it's something that's so close to our heart. All our entrepreneurs are so excited to be a part of this. So yes.
Very true. I mean, we are in the E of the PECO for this summit. As you know, to the audience, may I tell you that every day has been dedicated to a particular theme. So yesterday we had some amazing sessions on partnership, which was the P in PECO, and today we move on to entrepreneurship. So Karon, if you'd like to just briefly go on to the content of yesterday, and how do you think that kind of feeds into what we're going to be doing today? We'll of course go through the sessions that we have lined up for today, but there is a definite linkage that we can see between P and E, right? You're on mute, I think.
We still do this all the time, isn't it? Yeah. So, yes, of course, yesterday, I mean, it starts with partnership, right? Because we're saying if you want to change the world, you can't change the world by yourself. You have to join hands, and partnership is the way to do that. And so yesterday, the whole day was focused on partnership. We're talking about partners who want to contribute for the larger good. So it's not just about a simple transactional partnership, but more about being stewards of resources. And so yesterday we had the first session was beyond financial wealth, capital, creating intergenerational wealth. And then, of course, we also had the whole JICA, that is government, industry, civil society, and academia. Where is the gap when they want to come together? So this is really the whole idea of how do we kind of come together. And then we also saw the architecture of convergence that spoke about what it would take to really, because everybody talks about partnership, but how do you do it, right? That's the problem. We know what needs to be done, but how do you do it? And so that was the other interesting session that we had, among others, and also a fantastic fireside chat with Ashish Kotari. And I hope those who could not make it yesterday will definitely catch it on the YouTube when we put it up after the summit. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that amazing. Sessions yesterday, one leading into another, and we're taking some of those conversations ahead all through these 4 days, and that linkage will, I think, flow through. Of course, yes, that's a good reminder to everybody. I know we are working on different time zones. We have, thousands of people who are joining in from so many countries, and this is a great facility for those who cannot join in live. This will be put up on YouTube later. And of course, there's nothing like joining live, of course. We would love people to actually come and interact. That's when you can interact with all these wonderful, speakers. I think we've got 150 plus experts who are part of this session, and 50 plus sessions. So, it's from 75 countries. It's amazing, the kind of interaction, networking that's possible through this technical platform. And may I remind our audience today that this particular edition is about going beyond dialogue. 12 years, RISE has facilitated phenomenal dialogue and really, really interesting, conversations. But this time, intentionally, RISE is looking at the collaborative aspect of these conversations and taking it down to the grassroots level and making change happen on the ground beyond RISE. So between one RISE to another from now on, you'll actually see those conversations turning into something concrete and impactful on the ground. So yes, do tune in, do keep coming in for all the sessions, and of course catch up with everything that you can't catch live, because there's such a, I would say, embarrassment of riches when it comes to content. So let's go straight into today's sessions, Karon. But before that, can you just give me an idea about how PECO looks at entrepreneurship a little differently from what's usually understood as entrepreneurship?
Sure. So, as you know, Naresh, we talk about entrepreneurship from a perspective of women, social, and green. So, for us, the triple bottom line approach to entrepreneurship is very, very important. And that's why we also have a concept of three C's on the portal that really fine tunes and makes it so clear what exactly an entrepreneur wants to achieve. What is their purpose, right? Why are they doing this? Where are they doing this? And how are they going to be doing this? And so, linked to the WSG, as we call it, I mean, the world talks about MSME, and that's what one of the sessions today is actually that beyond MSME, why do we need to support WSGs, right? So therefore, when you look at WSG, what we have created on the portal is you have what we call a 3C passport, okay? And that passport really helps you to get into multiple other activities, which we will talk about, of course, tomorrow and day after. But it's your passport to get into more collaborations and get into those circles that where you can collaborate. And what is this 3C, right? The first is cause. Obviously, we are all working to solve problems over here, right? We want to change the world because there are problems. So the first is cause, which is about the problems or the issues that you are addressing. The second is about the community, the people. Who do you want to affect? I mean, who's getting affected by what that problem is all about? Or who can you really work with, right? So that could be anything from women to senior citizens to people with disability, right? And today we have a fantastic session on inclusive fashion, okay, which is going to be talking about how, fashion must be considerate of a lot more than just the people who are in the masses, right? So how do you take care of that? And it's a fantastic, and the entrepreneur who's going to be presenting this is really an award-winning entrepreneur, along with Geeta Castellino and Sumita, and Geeta Castellino, who's along with her, is again someone who's just so inspirational. I mean, just amazing. Just listening to them is something that you'll feel like this is unbelievable, right? So that's how we will be looking at the community, right? And then last but not the least is county. Okay, the county is the location. Where do you do your work? So therefore, your cause, the issue, the community, the people, the target group, the vulnerable group, and then finally the county, the location where you do this. When you are able to articulate this clearly, there is no doubt in anybody's mind as to how they want to partner with you or why they want to partner with you and where will they partner with you, right? So this is what the 3C passport is all about. Of course, you don't, in some cases, you may not have all three, perfectly articulated, and that's perfectly fine because you're working on a broader spectrum of work, which is again completely okay. But at least one, if not two, should be as clear as possible, because that will allow others to understand more easily how can they partner with you and why should they partner with you. So that's
I
the
like this. I really like your passport analogies, like 3C passport to enter the PECO world. Wonderful. Like a travel without borders and truly learn along the way. Also, yesterday we had an interesting session where we spoke about the gaps involved, in with dealing with the government, especially, and other stakeholders. Today we are again talking about collaborating with the government. And it's about skill set with social enterprises, especially don't understand fully. I think that seems like a very interesting session, isn't it?
Absolutely. And look at the title, right? The skill that social entrepreneurs have not got, right? Or
Yeah, yeah,
forgotten, right? Because that's it. The problem is that we are so constantly focused on, building the enterprise that we sometimes forget, and you can't blame them, right? Because they are constantly so focused and passionate about getting their product or service to the right target groups that they forget that there's an ecosystem around them that can
yeah.
really support them, right? And there are so many players in that. But again, in those players, government is somebody they tend to shy away from, right?
Right,
Oh, it's
right.
too difficult to work with government. There are so many other challenges. And so therefore, that feeling is something that we want to help them to get away from and to look at it and think about how can they really, leverage that relationship and obviously build their businesses better. So I hope there are many takers for that session as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I hope so as well, because as you said, people have run shy of even attempting to figure out whether they can work with the government, whereas the government seems to be coming out with tons of initiatives to help entrepreneurs. Maybe this session will kind of just do away with some of the myths and the fears that people have regarding this, right? The other one, which is very interesting to me, because we have always focused on agriculture in some form or the other in every RISE session so far, that as far back as I can remember. But this time we're looking at farmers and farmer collectives as entrepreneurs, and you're calling them the real agripreneurs. What is that going to be all about?
Well, sometimes we tend to forget what is entrepreneurship, right? Entrepreneurship is a mindset, right? Number one. And what is that mindset about? That mindset is really about solving problems. Well, if food is not a problem, and maybe the most critical problem for all of us to survive, then what is, right? And it is the agripreneurs, the farmers, right, who are actually solving that problem for us in multiple ways, dealing with climate action, dealing with so much of issues that are there right now, not just operational, but even in terms of the whole weather situation. Today it was raining like anything, a storm out of nowhere. What do? So I think understanding that they are actually entrepreneurs, they're not just farmers in the fields. They have to understand the entire logistics, the value chain, the pricing, the market structure, just like any other entrepreneur. It's just that the product is food, vegetables, right? So therefore, they have to be seen in that light and that right? Both, because they have a right to be supported just like every other entrepreneur. And that sometimes we don't tend to think about that. And that's why we are calling them the real agripreneurs.
Very true. And I think with the global situation the way it is today, I think agripreneurship is going to be something which is going to come into focus in a big way in the next few years. So I think I'm excited at what this session can open up for a whole lot of people. Now, the next topic we have today is something which, this is something I'm still scared about, but I think you've become some sort of an expert, especially over the last few months. AI. So about AI and philanthropy. How does that bridge happen, and how is it happening this time?
So, AI is, of course, a part of everything in our world right now. And in fact, our PECOWorld platform is also AI enabled, and hopefully there'll be a lot more while we are just starting it up and doing a mix of manual and backend and as well as AI. Over a period of time, we'll hopefully, create the algorithm that will completely make it automated. But therefore, AI is in every sphere of our lives. We know that. And as part of philanthropy, where there is a lot more now interest in supporting entrepreneurs through philanthropy. Social enterprises were not, for philanthropy to really work, it used to be non-profit, right? Only if you were a non-profit, then you would be able to really get access to those kind of funding. But today, philanthropy has actually moved into the whole entrepreneurship space as well. And that's why we are having it in today's day, because we believe that more and more philanthropic money is coming in to kind of, bridge that pioneer gap. Because when they are still struggling to get started, they're not going to get access to funding from banks. Angel investors still kind of shy away from it, even though they are there to help. So I think the philanthropic funds is really what bridges that gap between formal funding and the initial struggling phase of getting started. So yeah.
Yeah, I think very interesting. I mean, technology coming and literally helping us bridge the gap. I think the very fact that I think what will we do without it? Can we think of a RISE anymore without the technology? I remember the early days when we did this physical, and I, for one, didn't think there was anything we could do when COVID hit us. And then look what happened. Sometimes these so-called disasters that we face actually open up opportunities only if you're smart enough to ride on to the bandwagon. And I think this is a very opportune session, I guess, using AI philanthropy.
The entrepreneurial mindset, right? Converting adversity into opportunities.
Absolutely. Walking the talk, Karon. Absolutely fantastic. Now that gives rise to something, gives rise, sorry, pun unintended, to some one session today, which I'm looking forward to. I think a lot of people are very excited about the Horizon one. You'd like to talk about Horizon?
Oh, absolutely. So excited. It's our inaugural pitch fest at the RISE PECOWorld Summit, right? For the first time. We've done sessions before to workshops, especially to teach them how to pitch. But this is the first time we are formally bringing in, a venture fund to kind of come in and do this with us. So Sangatna Angels is really our partner in this, and they are wonderful partners designing the entire thing. And so we'll have 10 select entrepreneurs who will be pitching to them. And the beauty is that if they are fundable, then they will be obviously taken under Sangatna for further conversations to look at that. That's first. The second is all of them will be selected for mentoring post the summit, which is again very beautiful. And third is, of course, going back to our portal, the PECO World portal. They will be part of the special community that will work with women entrepreneurs to take them forward. So a lot of opportunity over there, and we're really excited to see what is going to come out of this first pitch at the RISE PECOWorld Summit. Yeah.
That's amazing. That's at 3 p.m. today, and the doors are still open, right, for more and more women entrepreneurs to come in,
Yeah.
or is it?
So
Yeah.
it's at 4:15. There's a small change, but yeah, it's at
Oh, okay.
4:15 p.m. today.
4:15 p.m. Okay, but we are still open to take in more, right?
Absolutely. They can be part of the session. They can learn from this session. So it's an open session. We are not
Right.
really going to be, it's not a closed session. So people are welcome to join that session, learn from their peers. And there will be a little bit of learning from peers as well as part of the whole flow. So it'll be good to have others to join in as well. And of course, in the years to come, be part of this in other ways as well. Yeah.
Fantastic. I think that's really an exciting session. Some like a highlight for me. That's something that stood out today. Brilliant. I hope more and more people would try and take advantage of this. We like we said yesterday as well. I mean, there are some streams which go through. All these 4 days. We have the building blocks. Beyond series, which we started with. We
Yes.
also have the ABCD, rubric which goes through. What about that today? The ABCD for enterprises.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is actually one of Idobro's, what call it, star model for entrepreneurship specifically. And we've been doing this for the last 17 years, yeah, where we help entrepreneurs to understand their business more in detail using the ABCD model.
Yeah.
And it's as simple as ABCD, just as need to know your ABCD, whether you're writing a letter, a thesis, or an essay, or a poem. You just need to know your ABCD of your entrepreneurship journey to be able to build your enterprise. And of course, it can be used for designing any initiative, but we really focus on entrepreneurs, and that is why we call it the ABCD for entrepreneurship building. But it's I think very valuable because it's a very simple and yet very, very deep model that allows anyone to start designing their journey and ensuring that they have the right ticks in the place. Yeah.
Wonderful. And I think yesterday you also unveiled the Koru toolkit, which I think can be another tool, very useful tool to make that happen, right?
This is
So,
actually one of the tools from the Koru toolkit. Thank you for
yeah.
reminding me about it. So yeah, it definitely is a key part of the Koru toolkit.
Today, one session which kind of stood out for me, and like we've always been speaking about design thinking ever since I can remember. But today we are talking specifically, we added the word human before design thinking. So human design thinking, how is it different from traditional design thinking? I mean, we've spoken about it very often. Anything new?
So, the problem with talking about human centric, okay, what happens is more often than not, the way the human centric designs are, you put a person in the middle and then draw circles around it and do something around it, and that becomes human centric. That's not human centric, right? Until there's a role for the human in that model that directly speaks to how are they, what you call it, either affected, or how are they supposed to react in the model, or how are they supposed to act in the model. They don't have any role to play. That doesn't make any sense, right? So when you say human centered design, then the design is keeping the person in mind, which means it works not just all around them in terms of a design, in terms of a visual, but literally every process, every aspect aspect of the model speaks to the person that we are going to be designing for. So that's the difference between this. It's not just a visual on paper that puts a person at the center, but literally takes them step by step as to how would you work with a person in mind.
So instead of running circles around the human, you're talking about actually, what we're talking about, collaborating out here, making them equal partners in the whole process.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's a perfect way to say that too.
So that's a great take on design thinking. And I'm sure that will be something which I think every single institution today needs to bring that into the design process. I guess somewhere along the line, we forget that after all, we are humans. It's a human society. It's a human civilization. Well, do we forget the human when we're doing whatever we are doing? And goes back again to what we said yesterday in terms of financial capital and how financial capital goes beyond money. And humans are so important for that. So I think it's a tremendous session. I think today, I mean, there's a richness of sessions today and very exciting, especially with the entrepreneurial rubric that we're looking at today.
It's a busy day.
It's a very busy day. And I think no more, I mean, I don't think anybody else would be busier than you today, I guess. For sure, you'll be everywhere. Yeah, and of course, we have our architecture of convergence session today, how to use the PECOWorld platform to help people to take these conversations ahead into actual networks and circles, yeah?
Yeah. So this is just an open house because what we believe, and that's why we're doing it every single day at different times so that it hopefully will suit somebody at some time. The idea is to help people understand the PECOWorld tech platform and to be able to use it effectively for finding collaborators and obviously also, taking their collaborations online because all of us are stuck in WhatsApp groups that nobody knows about.
Exactly.
Right? And worse still, we are stuck in WhatsApp group in which the collaboration is being attempted but not achieved, right? So how do you give visibility to your WhatsApp group so that you can get more collaborators to join you? And second is, how do you then understand who's in your WhatsApp group so that you can then design collaborations among yourselves? So it is both to find new collaborators as well as to enhance collaboration within your communities, whether it is on a WhatsApp group or an online community, right? So that's what we are going to cover in the architecture of convergence, is to show you how do you converge, how do you really build your collaborations, and how do you understand. And that's why I hope everybody's taken their persona test, because that's the number one thing we kind of covered yesterday. And everybody knows about their persona, which is, of course, either you're a partner, an entrepreneur, and a citizen. I just want to add one more thing about the persona test, which, those who may not have heard me yesterday, that remember, this persona is not you as in your everyday work. It is you in a collective setting, in a collaborative mode, right? So therefore, even if you're an entrepreneur, you might end up becoming a citizen in a collective form, or you may end up becoming a partner because you're willing to give some resources from your organization. So understand it from that point of view. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what your score is and how much of a partner you are, how much of a citizen, because obviously all of us are all three, right? We all have a little bit of partners in us, we have a little bit of entrepreneurs in us, and a little bit of citizen. And one will be prominent, one will be a dominant one. So don't worry about that aspect. But yes, use the tool as a way to reflect, as a way to understand deeper how you tend to partner, how you tend to collaborate, what makes you really get motivated to partner, right? I think it's a reflection tool more than, really anything to assess you as such. So yeah, just wanted to add that. Thanks.
No, that's wonderful. I think everybody should do that. I mean, that's the first thing, when people sign in, it asks you to, don't skip it. I think it's going to be very useful, like Karon said. Go through it. It's a fun exercise any which way, but it is also very insightful. So, guys, when you sign on to the summit, don't. I mean, of course, if you're already in and if you've skipped it, go back again. It'll take you 5 minutes max, I think. Get to know.
2 minutes, under 2 minutes. I promise you, under 2 minutes. You're not going to spend too much time. Yeah, under 2 minutes.
I stand corrected. Only 2 minutes of your time, but something which will lead to something very, very insightful. And Karan, today we also actually start with physical events. A couple of physical events happening today.
Yes, yes. We have an inauguration of a library in Mankut. The reason we're doing these offline events is because we all know the technology divide exists. Much as
Yeah,
we may try to do a lot to bridge it, it exists. So how do we bring community into the programming, right? How do we
yeah.
make sure that they are part of the summit as well? So it is the physical events that allow us to do that. And I'm so glad that it's something starting with something that is so close to my heart, which is books. I know all my life I've always given books as gifts. And I'm not sure whether people are actually happy about it. Maybe not at that moment. But I know that years later, people have come back and told me the book you gave me was so wonderful. I've read it so many times. So I guess I do something right somewhere. But yeah, so there's a library that's going to get inaugurated today in Mankut, and that's a place which everybody knows in Mumbai is a very predominantly, kind of a slum area, and so there is low income housing groups over there which really really need access to such kind of resources. So I'm just so happy that we have a partner who's going to do that, and it's DBM India, who's an amazing partner. So I'm glad to hear do that. Yeah.
No, it's amazing. I completely agree with you. I grew up with books myself. I love books. And the problem is I don't like to throw them or give them away. Sorry, I would never throw books, but I give them away. And yeah, so I live in a kind of a library myself. Not
We
not
all we all do that, and we
not the
should
most well
find a
organized
way.
one, but yes, that's
We
true.
should start doing swapping now of books. I
I
think that's
think we
the
should.
old
I think that could be a RISE project itself. I think
guys
this,
project itself.
yeah, true.
That's a good
Like,
point. We should put that into the PECO world and make that a PECO circle, actually. Thank you for saying that. We will.
yeah,
We will.
because we
Thank
speak
you.
about resources, right? These are all resources that all of us are sitting on.
So
Yeah.
true. So true. Very well said. Absolutely. And thank you for the idea. We will implement it for sure.
Well, today is about entrepreneurship of thinking and solutions, right? So maybe it's caught on already. I have no idea.
There you go. There you go. That's exactly entrepreneurial mindset for you,
Very
right,
true.
Naresh?
I'm very happy for the people of Mankur. I think this is a great addition to the community, and I hope more and more people in Mankur take advantage of this because there's nothing like reading. Whichever form one reads in, I'm still a huge fan of the old physical book. We keep talking about the smell of paper and that the wonderful feel of holding a book. But even if you're into the ebooks kind of stuff, I think reading is something which you should never ever get out of your life. I think the amount of
No doubt.
knowledge that is conveyed. Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. I think we have one more self-defense, I think, session
Well,
happening today, right?
yes.
Where is that happening? Any idea?
That
I'm
is
sorry.
happening in Bombay as well.
Okay.
And yeah, it's for girls. And we all know that today girls need to be able to protect themselves.
Yeah.
The solution to violence against girls is not to keep them locked up at home.
Yeah.
The solution is to empower them to protect themselves. Of course, the root cause is to solve the problem, is really to make sure that violence does not enter into the minds of those who want to perpetrate it, right?
Yeah.
Especially male, youngsters. And when you work with youth and with boys, I think it's really important to inculcate these thoughts right from young age. And so that is, of course, the root cause solution.
Yeah.
But along with that, this is also a very important solution that girls should be able to protect themselves no matter what. So I think that's the reason why we are hosting this.
I
Absolutely.
think that's amazing. You're absolutely right. While you work towards changing mindsets, there's no argument that can be put against being prepared and taking care of yourself. I think self-defense will go a long way. So I'm glad we are focusing on that aspect as well. So RISE is so many things, and I think everybody can find something of value in each of these sessions. So today is an action-packed day. I don't want to hold you up any longer than this, of course. Yeah, I'll say let's go ahead and let's bring in, like we said yesterday, today is the day when people come in with their ideas and their solutions and all their wonderful little innovations. Today is Entrepreneurship Day in RISE.
Absolutely. And I'd request everybody to please go to the PECO World platform, check out the PECO World, the PECO Circle, the PECO Net, the Go to Exchange, and of course the persona, right? Because that's the journey that you're going to take. You're coming in as an attendee, a participant, a speaker, an expert, but we want you to go in a different avatar. The least is going to be as a contributor, one time putting something up on the Go to Exchange or forming a community and becoming a member of a community, or then best of all is really being a collaborator in a PECO circle around a project. So that's the journey we want you to take. Start with being a participant, but then move to being contributors, members, and collaborators, because we need more of all of you. So thank you
Very
very
true. So thank you, Karon. And yes, let's just get started. A packed day ahead, an amazing day ahead as we move to the E of PECO on day 3 of the summit. All the very best. Happy learning, happy networking, and happy conversing. Let's really start the lay the base
much.
from. Sorry, and converging, of course,
Converging.
converging into amazing active collaborations on the ground. Yeah. So yes, yeah, the world's problems belong to all of us, but we have the resources, we have the innovations, we have the proximity. Now we have the structure. So let's begin day 3 of the PECO World Summit 2026. Thank you and
Thank you
goodbye.
very much, and bye-bye.